Dota 2 is getting a subscription service. The old Battle monthly system is going to be replaced by an all-new Dota Plus mode, which is basically a subscription service that allows a bunch of new progression, gameplay stuff that allows you the chance to get some in-game cosmetics, and of course some analytics and stuff like that, which sounds pretty interesting, and it sounds like an interesting thing to actually have in the game. However, I have a few problems with it being paid, but of course we'll get into that a little bit later. Michael here with another topic video. So Dota 2 has been one of those games that I've kind of wanted to get back into for quite a while. I've mostly played League of Legends. That has become my MOBA of the day, but back a long time ago when I was a child, I loved Dota. I thought it was really, really cool. However, I don't feel like it aged particularly well, and there's a lot of things that they need to improve to actually make it appeal to new players. And one of those things is to go in and actually make it so it's much easier for new players to actually get into things. Maybe teach them builds, teach them how to build their characters and pick things, and this is actually one of the things that this subscription service offers. However, they're putting it behind a paywall, which is a little bit annoying. But before we get into that, I want to kind of talk about what's actually in this whole Dota Plus thing. I actually have the webpage over here. I'll have a link in the description for it as well. It's on Dota.com if you're interested, or Dota2.com. I should clarify that this is Dota 2, not Dota, not the original one. They're not updating a mod again and adding in paid services, which would be absolutely hilarious. But no, this new Dota Plus option actually adds in a bunch of really cool things. Starting off with the basic stuff, it adds in hero levels, which is something we've seen standard coming in from a lot of older or newer MMOs that have actually sustained around. Stuff like Smite and League of Legends, the game in the background, actually has had kind of hero progression for a very, very long time. And this basically makes it so that while you're playing a character, you'll just slowly level them up and kind of get to compare your progress with other types of players. And so Dota is adding this, however, it's, again, behind a paywall. Not that big of a deal, but it's kind of lame. It's just kind of one of those situations where it's like, oh, this should be like just in the game regardless. This should be something that we have, because MOBAs don't really have much of a progression system outside of maybe just like, hey, I'm getting better at the game, which is fine for most people. However, I've noticed that this progression system can actually promote people to play newer champions quite a bit, and this could be a good thing overall for Dota. It could be like, hey, maybe you can end up showing your stuff with this character. You get new emotes, and you get little badges that allow you to actually unlock additional content, as well as being able to just kind of show off and be like, hey, this is, I'm good at this character. Here's my proof. I've got the badges, so suck it, that sort of thing. And that's always kind of cool to have. And League of Legends and Smite also have that. That said, they also have additional cosmetics, which you can end up getting inside of these, I guess, it's not really a chest, but it's in the store. And so basically you're able to get like older content as well using the kind of Dota Plus for popular champions. I assume what they're going to do is they're going to do some sort of rotation system. And so it'll be like, oh, well, this week you can end up getting this. And then it's like next week you can end up getting that sort of thing. And so that's probably what they're going to end up doing with that. They haven't really clarified on there. I just died to a tower. That was embarrassing. And so basically I don't necessarily know exactly where they're going to, but they say in the, sorry, I have to alt tab to go and click onto it. Plus reward store featuring exclusive plus hero sets, exclusive legacy hero sets, and hero relics, whatever hero relics are. Actually, I think it says it on here. Yeah, so hero relics are something that they're adding in as well to this update, but I think it's to everyone as well, so that's kind of nice. We'll talk about that in a second. Now, additionally to this, you're also going to be getting plus perks, which allows you to go into tourney modes for free basically once, and so you get a free tourney ticket, which normally costs like $1 or something along those lines. I haven't kept up with the pricing because, again, I'm not huge into Dota, and so I'm not necessarily going to care. But it is one of those things where, you get a free tourney ticket, which is kind of going to justify the price. Now, if you're wondering on the price of this, it's going to be about $4, which, again, if the tourney ticket costs about, $1, that's like 4 tourney tickets or whatever. Now, you only do get one of them for free, and so it's not like you're getting a bunch of tourney tickets for free, but being able to enter one/view one/whatever for, free on this sort of subscription, you get everything else for the $3, and you get that for the $1. Not too much, and it's not that expensive either. What I have a problem with is the next thing that they actually have on this list, which is called the Plus Assistant. This essentially makes it so that when you're in-game, it will give you live statistics based on different factors that it has in their live analytics system based on whatever you're playing. And so basically, if you're in Champ Select, it'll be like, oh, hey, their team has this and your team has this. These are suggestions for picks that you should play. Or let's say you're in game and you have some items. It'll be like, oh, hey, maybe you should end up leveling these abilities, or else maybe you could end up, doing these to end up benefiting your team a little bit better. And it's like, all right, cool. That sounds pretty awesome, being able to kind of see that sort of statistics. Or you can be like live in game and you can be like, all right, well, I want to see like how I'm doing in general. And they'll be like, oh, hey, well, your farm is normally up compared to average players, but you could end up doing this to kind of improve it. That sounds super freaking awesome, actually. It's behind a paywall. Now, the reason why this is actually a problem is for the fact of pay to win. Dota has been kind of fairly decent with its monetization system, and although they have things like tourneys and they have some weird loot box sort of systems that end up kind of making it a little bit of exploitative, and it's probably the reason why I've never actually gone back into it, because I'm like, I do not like loot-based kind of cosmetic systems, even though I'm able to get cosmetics for free, people say, and they're like, you're not entitled to them. I would rather just have a system to where I pay for cosmetics and not actually have a chance to get them for free, rather than having a exploitative loot box system. And so that's going to be me. I know some people don't really care, but it is something that actually, kind of draws back from the experience. And it's mostly why I kind of never even given Dota a second chance, because it's just not something I end up wanting to deal with. God damn, I died to a tower again. And so it's one of those situations where it's like, all right, now they're actually adding a subscription service. And this is a problem because while this won't matter for high-skilled players or maybe long-term players as well, to where you're able to see these statistics, maybe being able to see it and be like, oh, hey, I need to catch up my game. Maybe you want to try new characters and stuff like that. That's great. The problem is that most people do not play at a high level. They're not going to be able to look at things and be like, oh, well, real-time statistics doesn't matter because I already know what I'm doing. No, this is a problem because most players play at a lower skill level, and they're going to look at these statistics and actually be able to benefit from them, and they can actually use this to turn the tide of battle. And no, it's not going to be so drastic as, replacing skill or anything along those lines. They're not like paying for power or anything, so it's not like super pay to win that you would see in like a mobile game or something along those lines, but it's a lot of hidden power that they're kind of hiding away. And on top of that, I was talking about Dota 2 kind of having problems bringing in new players and just making the new player experience better. This is something that would be perfect to do that. It would be perfect to end up bringing in new players into Dota. But instead of doing that, they're just going to put it behind a paywall and make it so that really only experienced players are going to want it, which is actually where it's going to be the least effective. Being able to actually show this to new players and being like, oh yeah, you can end up learning all these different skills and actually improve your team, or like, hey, your team comp has like 3 tanks. Maybe you should pick an assassin. That might actually help out your team a little bit. Or you can end up making it so it's like, oh hey, let's say you're farming terribly. It's like, oh hey, try to build some attack damage or something along those lines. And it doesn't really work that way. It works mostly off of analytics, and they're using I guess they're using like big data, as they say, which is a stupid name, but that's what they call it, where basically they have a bunch of data from millions of games, so they say, and they're just like, hey, we're going to use this data to suggest things that you should build on that champion based on every other game and the type of build that you're having and the type of game that you're having as well. And so you go into this game and you're like, all right, cool, I'm playing this sort of champion hero, and I have this sort of build, and they can make suggestions based off of that, which is kind of cool, and I kind of like that. And this actually somewhat justifies the price, because using big data and stuff is kind of complicated. However, other games already do this, and they do it for free, and it has actually vastly improved their new player experience. Games like League of Legends, for example, uses this system to actually show new players what they should end up getting. They use it to recommend champions that they want to play. They use it for their in-games build system. So if I end up going to the shop here, I don't know why I hit escape, you can actually go to recommended, and actually has a recommended list for offensive and defensive items, and they use that based off of big data and talking not only to common players and using that big data, but they're also using things like player feedback and common builds and pro play, and they're able to use this sort of data, and they're not relying on AI to end up making this sort of decision. They're just actually legitimately getting good builds to actually use in general play. And they're giving you options as well, and they actually promote you to use different builds. Now, whether or not they'll implement these systems and implement suggestions for different types of builds based on however, things are going, and be like, oh, hey, if you want to be a little bit more offensive, try this, and if you want to be more defensive, then try this. And it's obviously a system that could be expanded in the future. However, this just seems like something that should be free. And whether or not they want to lock the hero levels and things along those lines, which is also going to come with new missions, which was already available in the monthly thing or whatever it was. Oh, ouch. Is he AP Gnosis? No, I just suck. That's fine. So, this was already available in the Battle Monthly. I think it's called Battle Monthly. I forgot what it was called. I apologize. And it's not on my notes over here, which is dumb. But yeah, so that was already available there. However, they are adding hero-specific missions as well. So you're able to go in and find specific missions for a character. You select them beforehand. They're also adding in the relic system, which I may already be in, or maybe it's coming in the future patch. This is a system that's going to everyone, but basically it is a relics where basically they have little tiny milestones, and as you play, you end up getting those. The problem with this is, again, this is something that other MOBAs have figured out, that it's like, hey, we should actually add this for everyone. I had a stopwatch and I didn't use it. Oh my god, I am playing terribly. I apologize for that. I'm more focused on my finger hurting because I cut it open today, and now it's it's really hurting. And so I'm like, ow! Every time I push W, it hurts. But this is something that other MOBAs have actually figured out and they've been doing. And it's like, oh, hey, you look at games like League of Legends. Once again, I apologize for using League of Legends for most of the examples here because that is my MOBA of choice, and they've been doing a lot of things really, really well. And the game, again, is completely free, and they've actually made it so you can get a bunch of cosmetics for free and stuff. So even the kind of argument where people are like, oh, well, I can't even get cosmetics for free, that doesn't even apply anymore. And so, yeah, they've been doing a lot of good things, whereas Dota hasn't really been improving their new player experience, while games like Smite or Dota, or not Dota, but League of Legends, it's like basically every single MMO under the sun that is actually popular has been doing things to make it easier. Even Supernova ended up adding in features that would make it so that it could use real-time data. Unfortunately, I have no idea where the hell that game is right now because I think Bandai probably abandoned the game because it wasn't very popular. And games like, what is the other one that was called? Hyper Universe, for example, as well, which is a 2D MOBA. It has a bunch of features that they added in to make it so that players could use data to actually make it more interesting for new players to try and get into it. And it has statistic-based build suggestions, which is, again, super, super awesome. You can end up looking at other people's builds and being like, oh, hey, I want to make that sort of character work into this sort of way, and here's some builds to do it with. And it's just ridiculous to me that they have to make this a sub fee, because the sub fee is only going to be paid by more experienced players, and this could be something that could boost up their new player experience. That said, though, again, it's not that expensive. It's $4 a month, which is going to add into like $48 a year or whatever, plus sales tax if you're in an area with sales tax. And so it's not like a lot of money. It's not like something that's going to be like, oh my god, I can't believe it's this much money. It's not going to be that much. And considering how much money people... Wow, why did it grab the snowball? I didn't want the snowball, cry face. Even though, seeing how much money people spend on Dota in general, even without systems like this and without any sort of actual benefit to it, it's just like cosmetics, for example, like, loot boxes and stuff. People spend ridiculous amounts of money on that game anyways, and so it's not like they need to kind of, make people pay for this, but people do have a justified reason to kind of go in and say, like, oh, hey, well, they need to pay for servers and stuff, and the reality is they don't need to, like, charge for this specifically. I would argue, I think their loot box systems kind of make enough money as is, and you can agree or disagree with me, whatever you want, but it just seems like a stupid idea to make this content behind a paywall, because, again, it's something that could vastly improve the game. So it just doesn't make any sense to me, but I guess that's just me. There are other MOBAs that have been doing really, really great with a lot of this sort of stuff, and so it makes no sense to me, is all I'm saying. It seems ridiculous. But there's a lot of people who are going to end up paying this. It's only $4 a month, and so it's not that bad. And it comes with a lot of extra progression stuff. So if you only play Dota, there's a ton of extra content to kind of look at and play with. You can even get a hero chat wheel lines or whatever. Hero chat wheel lines. There we go. And so it allows you to actually say, like, your character's voice lines in, like, all chat and stuff, which is actually kind of funny and cool at the same time. And that's something that I would gladly, like, pay as a cosmetic. I just hate subscription fees, for one. And number two, a lot of the features in here could actually end up helping out the new player experience. Again, with, like, let's say, this is going to be my final point on here. I'm kind of going for a long haul here. But going into, like, hero levels, for example, that is a great way to kind of entice newer and older players to play new characters. For example, in League of Legends, they're constantly releasing new characters every month. And so when they end up getting out a new character, it's like, oh, hey, you can get this little mastery level to kind of boost things up. And that's actually a cool way to, like, promote people playing new characters. They added in a loot box system that actually makes it so that instead of progressing based off of how many boxes you bought, you can actually, get them from playing better and stuff. And it's like, that's the type of stuff that I would love to see Dota implement, because that could end up helping out their new player experience vastly and just make it so that, the new players actually want to play the game, and maybe make it so they'll actually learn things. Make it so that, like, oh, hey, maybe compare things to, let's say, the average player. Yes, there are sites out there, and I did forget to mention this earlier, I admit, but, there are other players that would be like, oh, hey, you can already see these stats on external sites. The thing is, casual players aren't going to go on those external sites. They're not going to go out of their way to look for this type of stuff, and it's going to hurt the long-term player base of Dota. And yes, it does have a casual player base, but it's not nearly as large as something like League of Legends. Dota has the namesake to actually make that true. So they can end up using this sort of system to be, like, promoting people to play new characters and make it more interesting. Maybe they only play one character, but they're one character they're not very good at, and so they're like, oh, hey, I'm bored of this character now. And so you end up going into these matches to where just people are bored of their character, and then they stop playing instead of making it that way and be like, oh, hey, you know, you were playing this character a lot. Why don't you try out this character? Or maybe you've been playing support a lot. Why don't you try like a tank or something along those lines, which is like a support, but you know, you're doing other things as well. And it's like, yeah, it's just so many things they could end up doing to improve Dota as a general experience. And the only thing they're doing is just making it so that you have to pay for it, which seems ridiculous in a game that already has a ton of profit on the back of it, and it already makes it so that you have to pay for cosmetics just because of the way the system is designed. That it's a loot box, and it kind of plays into the whole thing. And no, you don't technically have to buy them, but we're not going to get into loot boxes today. I've already made videos on those in the past. But anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe for more content like this one. Oh my god, I screwed up my outro again. I was supposed to go, make sure to like and subscribe for more content like this one, and then leave your thoughts and comments below. There we go. That's just going to be my new outro. I'm just going to explain how I screwed up every single freaking time. I don't know why I can't do it. Maybe it's because I did one outro for like 3 freaking years straight. Now I'm trying to move to a new one, and it is physically impossible for me, and it is killing me inside. And that is a lame. Also, what's killing me inside is my finger. I don't know why I tried to play League of Legends in the background when I have a giant slice on my finger. But that's a thing. Whatever. PC Master Race. We go through pain for our love. That is what we do. But yeah, anyways, like I said, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll be playing League of Legends. So if you want to play League of Legends, I'll be playing with you. If you want to join our Discord, which is called The Broken Chat Box, link in the description below. It's a gaming community where we play video games and stuff. So go ahead and join us. And also, if you want to talk about Dota and stuff with other people that are not me, you can end up joining that Discord as well. We're always there to end up chatting if you want. You can also end up checking out my new and revised website, which has my new blog and everything along those lines. It has stuff like what I'm doing and what my future plans are with content that I want to see in the future. So if you're interested in that, you can end up checking that out. Otherwise, I'll see you guys in the next video. I'm gonna kill this fucker. Yeah! Get fucked! Get double fucked! Oh god, no!